Some moments in NBA history make you cheer, others make you sit back, go quiet, and realize. This game has seen some seriously dark days. From shocking crimes to real-life tragedies, these stories changed everything, and not in a good way. Malice at the Palace. What started as a regular NBA game between the Pacers and Pistons in November 2004 turned into one of the ugliest nights in sports history. It started with a hard foul. Ben Wallace shoved Ron Artest, now Meta Sandiford Artist, and tensions skyrocketed. Artest, trying to cool down, laid across the scorer's table like he was at a spay. But just when a fan threw a drink, it hit Artest. Bad move. Artest leapt into the stands swinging at the wrong guy. Steven Jackson followed. Punches flew, fans screamed, and the broadcast turned into chaos. At one point, it looked more like a wrestling match than a basketball game. People threw cups, bottles, and yes, even a folding chair. The aftermath was brutal. Artist got suspended for the rest of the season. 9 players were suspended for a combined 146 games. 5 players were charged with assault. 5 fans were charged too. One guy even served jail time. The NBA immediately changed its rules, introducing better security, alcohol limit restrictions, and stronger fan control. The Pacers, once a championship-level team, never recovered. Years later, Artist called it his biggest regret: the mysterious disappearance of Bison Dell. In 2002, former NBA player Bison Dell, who had retired young to explore life beyond basketball, took a sailing trip from Tahiti with his girlfriend Serena Carlin, his brother Miles DeBoard, and the boat's skipper. Just 2 days in, all communication stopped. Only one person came back. He returned alone. The boat had bullet holes. The nameplate was removed, and if that's not fishy enough, he used Bison's passport to buy $150,000 in gold. Miles told a wild story that Serena died by accident during a fight, Bison killed the skipper, and then Miles shot Bison in self-defense. The problem is there were no bodies, no evidence, and no proof. Just a bunch of unanswered questions. Before the FBI could get full answers, Miles overdosed on insulin and slipped into a coma. He died without ever fully explaining what happened. It's one of the strangest mysteries in sports. 3 lives gone, a damaged boat, and a truth that probably sank to the bottom of the sea. Kobe Bryant's tragic crash. Some news feels like the biggest tragedy, but this one hit like a broken heart. On January 26, 2020, Kobe Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 others flew to a youth basketball game in foggy weather. Despite warnings and grounded air traffic, their helicopter took off. Just before 10 a.m., it crashed into a hillside in Calabasas. No one survived.
It was given exclusively to CBS News. The force of the crash scattered pieces.
Kobe wasn't just a superstar, he was an icon, a father, a mentor, and one of the fiercest competitors ever. His sudden death shook not just the NBA, but the entire world. It was the kind of moment when time seemed to stop. The crash was later blamed on the pilot's poor decisions in dangerous flying conditions. Tributes poured in from everywhere. The Lakers postponed their game. The NBA renamed the All-Star MVP award in his honor. Teams began games by letting the 24-second and 8-second clocks run out, a silent tribute to the legend. After officials leaked crash site photos, his wife Vanessa won a legal battle. And in 2021, Kobe entered the Hall of Fame. A statue now stands at the crash site, a symbol of a man larger than life. Derrick Rose. In 2011, Derrick Rose became the youngest MVP in NBA history. He played like a superhero, fast, fearless, and almost floating on the court. But just 1 year later, in a playoff game against the Sixers, everything shattered. One bad landing, one torn ACL, one heartbroken city. He worked for a comeback, fans waited, he healed, trained, and finally returned. But fate wasn't done with him yet. In November 2013, his other knee gave out, torn meniscus, another surgery, another season lost. Rose's career became a tragic poem, once electric, now fragile. But he adjusted. No longer flying through defenders, he became a master of floaters and finesse. By 2021, he quietly led the league in floater efficiency. Maybe he never returned to the MVP level, but he won something else: respect. The mystery in the woods, Lorenzan Wright. Lorenzan Wright wasn't a household name, but he was known for his big heart on and off the court. A former NBA forward and loving father, he disappeared on July 18, 2010 after visiting his ex-wife's home. For days, no one knew where he was. Then a call from his phone reached 911, 11 gunshots, silence. Shockingly, that call sat unreported for 10 days. By the time the police took action, it was too late. His body was found in a wooded area near Memphis, riddled with bullets. fact, it was a murder. But who would kill him? The case went cold. For years, his family begged for justice. Then in 2017, a break came. A gun was discovered in a Mississippi lake. Soon after, a man named Billy Turner, a church deacon, was arrested. Even more shocking, Lorenzan's own ex-wife, Shara Wright, was charged with helping plan the murder to collect a $1 million life insurance payout. She eventually confessed and is now serving 30 years in prison. Len Bias. Len Bias was supposed to be the next big thing. He had it all: outspeed, power, hops, and a jump shot, smoother than a jazz tune. At Maryland, he dominated college basketball and was seen as a future NBA superstar. In 1986, the Boston Celtics picked him second overall. A young man's dream had come true, but that dream only lasted 48 hours. After celebrating with friends back at his dorm, Len used cocaine, maybe to relax, maybe to enjoy the moment. Just a few hours later, his heart stopped. Paramedics fought to bring him back, but Len Bias died that morning from a cardiac arrest caused by drug use. He never played a single NBA game. His death shocked the world. Politicians passed the Len Bias law to crack down on drugs. His college coach resigned. His jersey was never worn. The Celtics gave it to his grieving mother, and just when the Bias family began to heal, another blow came. In 1990, Len's younger brother Jay was murdered. Two sons lost side by side in the graveyard. At the silent collapse, Reggie Lewis was soft-spoken, but his game was loud. A rising star on the Boston Celtics, he was fast, humble, and reliable. The kind of player you could build a future on. But something strange happened in July 1993 during a light workout at Brandeis University. He collapsed. At just 27 years old, Reggie never got back up. He died from a rare heart condition, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, something that often shows no symptoms and can strike young athletes out of nowhere. But that wasn't the end of the story.
Really, it looks like he just stumbles, can't get his legs, and he bangs his left knee on the...
Whispers began. Some doctors claimed Reggie had used cocaine. Others argued there was no sign of drug use at all. His family blocked deeper investigations, and the media storm followed. One newspaper even claimed the Celtics covered things up, and the team nearly sued in response. No one can say for sure whether it was a hidden illness or something darker. But what is certain is this: the league lost a true talent, and Boston lost a leader, Djan Petravich. Now, from survival to heartbreak, Djan Petravich was on fire during the 1992-93 NBA season. He was one of the league's most skilled shooters, and had just finished his best year with the New Jersey Nets. But instead of celebrating, he was frustrated. He felt ignored by the league, undervalued, and overlooked. Big European clubs, especially from Greece, were offering him massive contracts, and honestly, he was considering leaving the NBA for good. In June 1993, after playing with Croatia's national team in Germany, Djan made a decision that seemed small at the time. Instead of flying home, he chose to drive with a woman he had recently met. On June 7th, while Djan was asleep in the passenger seat, their car collided with a truck on a rainy German highway. He was thrown from the car and died instantly from severe head injuries. He was only 28. The news shocked the basketball world. His funeral in Zagreb drew thousands. The NBA held a moment of silence before the finals. The Nets retired his jersey. Streets in Croatia were named after him. A museum was built in his honor, and in 2002, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Djan was more than a great player. He was a trailblazer. He showed the world that European players could shine in the NBA. Without Djan, we might never have seen stars like Dirk Nowitzki, Manu Ginobili, or Luka Doncic take center stage. His time was short, but his impact eternal. The NBA's cocaine nightmare of the 1980s, before NBA stars had shoe deals and billion-dollar TV rights, there was cocaine, lots of it. In the late 70s and early 80s, drug use quietly took over the league. Michael Ray Richardson failed 3 drug tests and was banned for life. Roy Tarpley, John Drew, and even finals-bound Spencer Haywood lost everything to the addiction. At one point, it was estimated that over half the league was using it. Drug dealers had locker room access, parties became routine, ratings dropped so badly that even the finals aired on tape delay. The NBA's image was in free fall until David Stern stepped in with a strict 3-strike policy: first strike, counseling; second, suspension; third, banned for life. It wasn't just punishment, it was clean up. The NBA added background checks, increased drug testing, and introduced rehab options. Slowly, the league found its way back. Even Jordan called his early teammates a traveling cocaine circus. You know it's serious when MJ is the voice of reason. He shocked the nation not only with his illness, but with his bravery. Rumors flew, including whispers about his sexuality, some of which he claimed were started by his friend Isaiah Thomas. Johnson denied them all, but despite the pain, he played in the 1992 All-Star Game and dropped 25 points, winning MVP again. The night Michael Jordan lost his hero. In July 1993, Michael Jordan, the face of basketball, suffered a personal tragedy no championship could fix. His father, James R. Jordan Sr., pulled over to rest in his red Lexus during a late-night drive through North Carolina. The license plate 1C0023 quietly nodded to his son's legacy. But that night, two young men, Daniel Green and Larry DeMary, approached the vehicle. What happened next is still difficult to process. James was shot while asleep, his body dumped in a swamp across the state line in South Carolina. It took 11 long days to find him. By then, decomposition had made identification difficult. Only dental records confirmed it was James. 2 NBA championship rings were also stolen from the car. For Michael, this wasn't just a loss. It was the loss of the man who guided his every move, from high school courts to World Series dreams. The world mourned with him, but no one felt it like he did. To this day, Green and DeMary point fingers at each other. Green even asked for a new trial in 2018, claiming he wasn't the shooter. The request was denied, but justice never really feels complete when a father is lost like that. The Lakers' plane ride from hell. It was January 18th, 1960. The Minneapolis Lakers had just wrapped up a game in St. Louis and boarded a small DC-3 plane to head back home. Nothing fancy, just a typical post-game flight. But 10 minutes after takeoff, things went sideways. Literally, every electrical system failed. The radio, lights, fuel gauge, and even the working compass. And to top it off, there was a snowstorm. Imagine being stuck in a tin can, flying blind in the dark while the fuel needle slowly drops. It's not ideal. Due to traffic in the air, turning back wasn't an option, so the pilot did what heroes do. He kept flying north, hoping for a miracle. After 4 terrifying hours, they spotted lights below. It wasn't an airport, it was the small town of Carroll, Iowa. The pilot took a deep breath and made a risky emergency landing in a snowy cornfield. Miraculously, all 23 people on board survived, including stars like Elgin Baylor, Hot Rod Hundley, and Coach Jim Pollard. They landed just a few hundred yards from nearby houses. A few more minutes in the air and they might not have made it. To this day, it's remembered as one of the closest near-death experiences in NBA history. The Lakers escaped disaster by inches and some very cold luck. The punch that changed NBA history forever. December 9th, 1977 started like any other game night. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Houston Rockets were facing off when a small scuffle broke out at midcourt. Rudy Tomjanovich, a respected player and peacemaker, ran in to calm things down. But Kermit Washington, reacting in the heat of the moment, turned and delivered one of the most violent punches ever seen in sport. It landed square on Rudy's face and the sound was horrifying. Players later described it as sounding like a melon hitting concrete. Rudy fell instantly, bleeding and unconscious. His injuries were not just bad, they were life-threatening. He had a fractured skull, a broken jaw, spinal fluid leaking into his mouth, and his entire facial structure was detached from his head. One doctor even said that most people with similar injuries don't survive, and yet somehow Rudy stood up. On pure instinct, he stumbled to the locker room before collapsing again. He was rushed to the hospital. Kermit Washington, meanwhile, faced an emotional storm. The punch was shown repeatedly on national TV. He was turned into a public villain. Late night shows mocked him, fans sent him threats, and even his pregnant wife was refused medical care by some providers. His team gave him no support, and he was suspended for 60 days and fined $10,000. But this wasn't just about punishment. The NBA realized things had to change. From that day on, any player who threw a punch would be immediately ejected and suspended. The league took violence seriously, and this single moment is the reason behind today's stricter rule. Donald Sterling. Fast forward to 2014 and the NBA faced a scandal of a different kind, one that exploded in the age of smartphones and social media. Donald Sterling, then owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, was caught on tape telling his girlfriend not to be seen with black people, including Magic Johnson. Yes, Magic Johnson, the man who helped build the NBA's global appeal. The recording leaked and it was game over for Sterling's reputation.
You don't have to have yourself with walking with black people. You don't have to.
Players threatened to boycott, sponsors pulled out, and even President Obama chimed in. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver moved quickly. Sterling was banned for life, fined $2.5 million, and forced to sell the team. His wife Shelly didn't wait around. She sold the Clippers to Steve Ballmer for a whopping $2 billion. Sterling tried to block it, sued everyone, but was eventually ruled mentally unfit by doctors. The deal went through and Sterling's court battles fizzled out. The message was clear. Racism has no room in this league. March 11th, 2020, the day basketball vanished. Now let's talk about a night that still feels surreal. It was March 11th, 2020. The Utah Jazz were about to play the Oklahoma City Thunder, but something strange happened. Players were pulled off the court before tip-off. Minutes later, the announcers told fans to leave calmly.
Take your time in leaving the arena tonight and do so in an orderly fashion. Thank you for coming out tonight.
No one knew what was going on. Then came the news Rudy Gobert had tested positive for COVID-19. 2014. The NBA season was suspended immediately. Just like that, basketball was gone. The league went silent. Other players tested positive, including Donovan Mitchell and Kevin Durant. The entire team had to quarantine. Empty arenas, canceled practices, and lost paychecks became the new normal. Even the G League hit pause. The Pistons offered up their facilities to help health workers. Everyone had to adapt fast. Eventually, the NBA created the bubble in Orlando, a surreal fan-free tournament to finish the season. It worked, but the damage was done. The league lost hundreds of millions, but more than money, it was a wake-up call. Health, safety, and crisis response would never be taken lightly again. Gilbert Arenas' downfall. In 2009, Gilbert Arenas, aka Agent Zero, turned the Wizards' locker room into something closer to a Wild West saloon. After a gambling argument with teammate Javaris Crittenton, both players brought guns into the locker room. Yes, actual guns over a bet. Arenas later joked about using finger guns on the court during player intros. The NBA was not amused. Commissioner David Stern suspended him indefinitely, calling him unfit to play. He was charged, sentenced, and placed in a halfway house. His teammate got off with probation. Arenas returned wearing a new jersey number 99, leaving Zero and everything tied to it behind, but the damage had been done. His legacy, once promising, was now mainly remembered for one very stupid mistake. The night Paul George's dream turned into a nightmare. The summer of 2014 was supposed to be Paul George's moment. He had already earned his spot on Team USA for the FIBA World Cup in Spain. Everything was going perfectly until August 1st, during a Team USA scrimmage in Las Vegas. George chased down James Harden for a fast break block. He jumped, he landed, and the entire gym froze. His right leg smashed into the base of the hoop support. What followed was a scene no basketball fan wants to witness, a compound fracture so brutal that even the broadcasters went silent. No replays, just silence. Coach Mike Krzyzewski immediately stopped the game out of respect. No one cared about basketball anymore. George was rushed to surgery where doctors had to insert a metal pin into his leg. There was no official timeline for his return. Most people assumed he'd miss the entire season, but Paul George wasn't done. By September, just 1 month after surgery, he was already walking. By October, he was back on the court shooting jumpers. Fast forward to February when he joined a whole team practice. Then in April 2015, he shocked everyone. In just 15 minutes of game time, George dropped 13 points, including 2 clutch three-pointers in the fourth quarter. He wasn't just back, he was blazing. His return was nothing short of heroic. 6 games later, he closed out the season averaging nearly 9 points and 4 rebounds per game. From a broken leg to a complete NBA comeback in less than a year, Paul George showed the world that pain might break bones, but it can't break spirit. Chris Washburn. Chris Washburn had everything going for him: height, power, and potential. He was drafted 3rd overall in 1986 and expected to become a dominant big man. Instead, his name became a cautionary tale. In just 2 seasons, Washburn played only 72 games. He averaged a little over 3 points per game, hardly what fans expected. But the bigger issue was off the court. He failed 3 drug tests in 3 years, and in 1989, the NBA banned him for life. That's when the fall began. Washburn's post-NBA life spiraled. He ended up broke, living in abandoned buildings in Houston, digging through trash for food, and trapped in addiction. Most people wrote him off as another lost cause, but somehow Washburn fought back. He entered recovery, began speaking to young athletes, and even opened a small fried chicken restaurant in his hometown of Hickory, North Carolina. Washburn's wings and more. It didn't last long, but it showed he was trying. In 2014, he was arrested again because someone in his car didn't pay for gas. The charges were dropped, but it was yet another bump on a rough road. Tim Donnagy. In sports, referees are supposed to be neutral, the quiet figures who keep the game fair. But in 2007, one NBA ref became the center of the league's biggest scandal. Tim Donnagy, a 13-year veteran official, was caught betting on games. Not just any games. Once he was refereeing, he claimed he wasn't fixing outcomes, just using inside information. That sounds innocent until you realize he sent secret signals to gamblers about players' injuries and even which refs disliked which teams. His whistle wasn't just calling fouls, it was cashing checks. Donnagy eventually pleaded guilty to 2 federal charges and served 15 months in prison, but the damage didn't end there. He later claimed some playoff games were intentionally extended by biased officiating, pointing fingers at the controversial 2002 Western Conference Finals. The league denied it, but the fans weren't so sure. After that, the NBA overhauled its entire referee policy. From tracking betting trends to closely reviewing referee assignments, the league scrambled to patch the hole in its reputation. But let's be honest, once fans start questioning whether a playoff game was rigged, the trust doesn't come back overnight. What wild NBA moment did you witness live? Drop it in the comments, we'd love to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe and share the channel so your crew never misses the latest NBA insider stories and breakdowns. More coming soon.